Hello everybody, welcome to the stream. And as you can see, we've got a new look and feel to this. So let me double check my audio signal is looking good. So it's looking good, at least on my level meter over here. And yep, I can see myself, right. So you might be wondering why this is looking different today, and the reason why it's looking different is that I've decided to go back to using plain OBS. So in the past I've used Streamlabs OBS, and while this was quite nice and easy to use because it has a somewhat simplified user interface, I found that OBS has more power and can do more things, and one of those things is having shaders, and you can see it because the frame of this feed here, let me try to point into the right direction like this. Okay, so it's difficult. I'll just use one finger. So as you can see, this is moving, right? So I thought, we're talking about AI a lot, so why not use a gradient, and a gradient that's moving. Also, if you want to follow me, you can do so on Blue Sky. And we've got this chat window here. So if you type anything into the live chat, it should show up here. And, let me try this out myself. So I'm going to say hello. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. So, and there we go. Amazing. I'm not entirely sure if the emojis will also work in this view. Apparently they don't. But, feel free to tap the emojis. So, what are we going to do today? Last time we worked on the chat view, and the chat view is it's a package that I started building because I found myself re-implementing chat interfaces over and over and over again for many of our sample apps. And as I mentioned many times on the stream, I'm a lazy person. To be honest, I only say that I'm a lazy person because I do work a lot, as many people would say, but I hate to repeat myself. So I try to be efficient. That is what I mean by lazy, I think. So instead of implementing the chat feature over and over again for this app, and then for the other app, and then for this yet another app, I decided to just implement it once, make it reusable, and then use it in all of my applications, in my sample applications for Firebase, in my own applications, and so on and so forth. And to make that happen, it will have to be open source. So the work that we do today and maybe next time, that is part of the journey to getting it to open source. So let's take a look at something that is relevant to that, and also check out this view, and let me know if you like that. So I noticed that in the past we used this kind of view a lot, and the chat window covered the IDE, and I thought, oh, maybe that's not such a great idea, so maybe let's use something different. So I decided to try this one out here. I realized that font might be a little bit on the smaller side here because obviously everything needs to shrink a little bit. So please tell me if you like this. Use the chat to let me know. And as you can see, it's easy enough for me to switch back and forth. So whatever works best, we're going to use, but let's try it out for now. So what I wanted to show you, and let me go here, is something that we launched just today. Where is Firebase? Well, here you go. It's and let me make this larger. So this video went live earlier today, 2 hours ago, to be honest. And it is a walkthrough of Firebase AI logic, and it demonstrates how to use Firebase AI logic to implement a meal planning app. And this part here is about a very simple feature where you can put in your ingredients and then any notes, and then you can generate a recipe. So let's have a quick look at that. I'm going to turn down the volume a little bit. So you can input your ingredients.
Parmesan cheese, garlic, and olive oil in my kitchen. So I'm going to type this in real quick.
And then you can type in the notes.
Users can specify any preferences. For example, the type of cuisine or any dietary restrictions they might have. When I'm done recording this video, I think I might like some Italian food and I'd like to invite some friends over. So let's request 5 servings. Once I click on
and now you can generate a recipe, and that makes a call to Firebase AI logic, which makes a call to Gemini, and it will create a recipe, and now you can get an impression of my of my Italian. So I think that's about the only Italian that I can do. So, and as you can see in the screen here, there is also Meal Planner, and this is where the chat view comes into play yet again, because for that tab right there, I need a chat UI, because as part of this application, I also want to implement something where users can chat with the AI to have a conversation with a meal planner and say, for example, okay, so here's what I have in my fridge. Can you please recommend something? And then if they don't like the recommendation, they can just go in and say, make something different, or replace an ingredient and stuff like that. So I need this thing, and also I don't just want to use text to communicate with the model, but I also want to be able to send images. For example, I want to be able to take a snapshot of what's in my fridge, or maybe I'm at the farmer's market and I want to take a snapshot of what's on offer and then ask, oh, so here are like a bunch of fresh vegetables. What can I cook with that? And then help me decide which ones I should buy. So coming back to what we want to implement today, let's run this sample app that we built, or that we worked on the last time and the time before, and then we can see what we need. So, and with that, hello everybody who joined just now. Hello Lars, hello Evelyn. It's great to see you all. Feel free to type in what is your favorite beverage for today. For me, it is just plain water. And let me just keep hydrated. All right, so here is our application, and as always, I can type in my message. That's great, but I can't send any attachments. So that is what I want to work on today. And now Apple's foundation model will say, well, I'm really sorry, but I have no idea what you just said. So this is our sample application here, and we can go into our conversation view right here. And what we need is our message composer. So here is the message composer view. Let me quickly get the preview going. So there are a couple of things that we need to do. So first of all, we somehow need to make sure that the font is larger. All right, so I'm going to use this different view here, and let me know if that is better. Okay. So, and I think, yeah, this should be good. Okay, so the first thing is I want to be able to display a menu when the user taps the button, right? So nothing happens at the moment, so we need a menu. So the interesting thing is that you can, okay, perfect. The interesting thing is, instead of using a button here, you can use a menu. So let's do that. And let's just say we have a menu, and then we have the content, and the content will be the menu items. So let's do that. And I'm going to add a simple button here. And let's say we want to have an action and a label. So for example, let's say, let's attach images. Label, title key, photos, and let's pick a photo. I think there is a nice one that has a stack of photos. Yeah, I think this one looks nice. And then, oh, okay, so I got confused. So this is our menu button, or an item in the menu, and let's create another one. Let's say we want to pick from the camera. Oops, and camera. Here we go. And now we need a label for the menu. And you can already see the menu, it's down here. And maybe if I do this in light mode, it will be easier to see. So it's here, next to the plus button. So I can just take this image here, and then we have a plus button. But it looks not great because it's not using liquid glass. And did you notice, even though this is a menu, it is rendering as a button. And this is one of the really amazing things about SwiftUI. SwiftUI has this really magical behavior where it detects the environment or the context in which you're using a UI element, and it adopts the this environment and displays the UI element in a meaningful and suitable context-sensitive way. So this menu here is being displayed as a button because SwiftUI realizes that this is the best way to represent this here. So let's see if we can just take these modifiers here and make it look like a liquid glass button. And while this is looking better, and here is our menu, so we can tap on the menu now, and you can see that stuff is happening. It is not perfect for a number of reasons. So one reason is that the background is not, it doesn't look like liquid glass at all. So let's use dark mode, and you can see that it looks very different. So let's see how we can fix that. So first of all, let me use this. So this is not better. And I can also somehow remove the buttons like glass, because that is kind of like implicitly mentioned or implicitly clear because we use the glass effect container. So if we look at our input field, which is inside this H stack, you can see that what I'm doing here to turn this into a classified element is I use this glass effect here. So maybe let's try that and apply this to the entire menu. And we don't need this rectangle corner radius thing here. Okay, so this looks better. Let's go to light mode. It's really, really difficult to see. I have the advantage I can zoom in, but unfortunately that is not visible for you. So let's do this. Okay. Yeah. So it seems like it's doing roughly what we want. So let me hide this button here because we don't actually need that. And then let's see if, oh, look at that. So that is really nice. So you can see that the two elements are melting together. So we need to change the offset. So let me just disable this offset here. And now when I tap on the input field, it melts into the button, and look at that. The button also seems to melt into the input field. What we can do is let's run this on the simulator, and then we can turn on slow animations and see if it actually works. Oh, and by the way, party popper for success. Okay, so first of all, let's make this larger. Hello. Oh, what? It's gone. No. Where is my simulator? Oh no. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Also, somehow my projector disappeared. So let me first get my projector back so I can see myself. Where is the projector? Open source project, open preview projector. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So I wanted to change oh, it's on the wrong screen. So I wanted to change the size of the simulator. And I wanted to use a keyboard shortcut because I felt being smart, but oops. So again, it jumped to a different screen. Oh my goodness. This is large. And it is pretty difficult to position this on oh my goodness, to position this on this screen. Okay, I think we'll make do using that. Okay, so yeah, I think they're melting. So let's do slow animations. Yep. And on the button here. Oh, okay, so the menu opens pretty quickly. Let's see if we can somehow. Yeah, I think the menu opens right away, so there's probably no way how we could see if this works well. And now I'm actually not sure, is this really melting? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we'll just assume that it works well because it works from the one side, so maybe it's working from the other side as well. Okay, let's turn off slow animations so we're not annoyed by the slow list of the animations. Also, this is kind of, I was kind of hoping that we would get, okay, here, that's the reason why. So we don't have icons, and the reason why is that I used the wrong initializer. So okay, so this should work. Here we go. Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. So, oh, and also let me double check. So, let's try and see if we can somehow make the circle work. Right. So at the moment, it is not a circle, but it's a it's not, is it a squircle? Well, at least, you know, it's more a rounded rectangle than it's a circle. But, okay, so, okay, I think it's not really, yeah, so in dark mode it's easier to see, right? So let me remove that again. And then let's turn this off for a moment. So you can see that now we have the more rectangular button. And if I turn button border shape back on and say I want to have a circle, you can see that the inner part is a circle. And you can even see it when I tap it, but the outer part will still be a rounded rectangle kind of thing. And even the order doesn't seem to have an impact on that. What about this? Yeah, so we want to have control size large. I don't know. Ooh, oh, wait. Let's see if, yeah, I don't know if that will work. Okay, let's try this out though. Interesting. Okay, so we can somehow change the shape in dot. Oh, there you go. In dot. Ta-ta! What? Okay. And we're back to where we were. Oh man. All right, so that means we'll probably have to turn the offset back on. Yep. Okay, so there you go. They're now melting. And whoa, look at that. Okay. Okay, I don't know why it's taking a moment to basically reset. So let's play this on the simulator. Okay. Okay, so, yep, it's the same effect. Not entirely sure why this is. So I have to say, it might be because of the version of Xcode I'm using. So I'm using beta 3, and the reason why I'm using beta 3 and not beta 4 is beta 4 crashed my computer several times today when I was typing something, and I was like, no, I can't have this when I'm running a live stream. So this is why we're using beta 3. It might, this effect might be different on beta 4. I'm actually not going to try this out on a live stream. Also, I noticed that last time we were on the live stream, after I finished, Apple had shipped a new version of Xcode. So maybe after we wrap up here, they will ship a new version of Xcode. So if anybody from Apple is watching on, hello, thanks for the great work. And maybe let me know before if you want to ship a new version so I can maybe run the live stream a little bit later. Good. So I think we are in a good place, more or less. Oh, there is one more thing that I wanted to fix. So, and that was, let's see. Maybe the problem is no longer there. Yeah, it's still here. Okay, so you can see that when I tap in this input field, that the right part of it is clipped by being pushed into the device frame. And that is not what we want. So what I'm going to do is I will add, so first of all, let's remove all of this and we can get rid of that. So a little bit of cleanup here. And now I think I might want to add a padding to our entire glass effect container. Padding dot trailing. Let's do horizontal. It needs to be even. Horizontal. Let's see if 8 is good enough. Yeah, that seems to be fine. Let's verify that our melting effect is still working. That is nice. Also, I think it might be a good idea to put some padding at the bottom. To keep more distance from the elements at the bottom. Yeah, nice. Great. So sometimes, though, you might not want to use this input, this button. So the next thing that I want to do is add a view modifier that allows me to hide this thing. So I want to be able to hide the entire menu button. And to do that, I'm going to register another view modifier or implement another view modifier. And the way this works is, first of all, we need to have an environment value that allows us to keep track of whether or not the user wants to display this button. And then we need to have an extension on view that we can use similarly to on submit actions, so that the user can say, well, for this conversation view, I don't want to have this button. And yeah, so let's implement it. So the first thing that we always have to consider when coming up with an API is, what is the correct name? So let's maybe hear what you think was the right way to name this. So if you have a suggestion for how to name this thing, type it into the chat. And in the meantime, I'm going to go into SwiftUI and we're going to take a look at what we might, or what are the kind of names that SwiftUI uses. So let's look for enabled. Right? So we've got is enabled, but that is a parameter on a function, and I'm looking for something that is a view modifier. So we probably want to look for func enabled, right? So func, and then is. Okay, so here is func is detail link, and that seems to be the only thing that has is on it. Let's see if we have enabled. So we've got encode entries. Oh, there we go. Static func enabled. But that is static, so it is something on a presentation background interaction, so not a view modifier. We've got the environment view modifier. Okay, so what else? Disabled, maybe? Okay, here we go. So, disable. This is nice. So, disable autocorrection. So there is something that you can use on an input field, right? So you can say, I don't want autocorrection enabled on an input field, and that is why you disable it. Let's see, what else? So disable autocorrection, disable customization behavior, and disabled. Okay, so disable is for completely disabling interaction on a view. Okay, so any suggestions from you how we should name this? So let's go to a place where we might use it, right? So for example, let's say we want to disable the attachment button here. We want to do something like disable Yeah, so disable autocorrection. No, we don't want to disable autocorrection, but we want to disable attachments. Like so. Obviously it doesn't work because it's not there yet, but yeah, why not? So disable attachments. Let's do that. So I'm going to check this, and now let's go back. And first of all, let's register our environment value. At entry var disable attachments is a boolean. And now we get to the point where we realize that disable is not such a really good word, but you know, for some reason Apple decided to use it. So if disable is false, it means it is enabled, right? So the default behavior is the button is enabled. Okay, and then we need a view modifier, and we call it func disable attachments, and we need to write the value that the user is passing into the environment, and we're using our entry that we registered up here, like that. So, and can we all just appreciate how much easier this is than it used to be? So in the past, you'd have to implement so much stuff to implement this. And now, thanks to the add entry macro, it is so much easier. So let's see, where is the expand macro, right? So this is the stuff that you had to implement before. You had to implement a getter to get into the environment, to get the value, and you had to implement a setter to write into the environment. And you had to implement this environment key itself. So it doesn't look like a lot, but it is definitely worth all of the code that this macro generates for us. Cool. So we've got our environment value, we've got our view modifier, and now we need to read it from the environment. Like this, and then we can use it to hide our H stack. Oh, sorry, not the H stack, but the entire menu. So there are two ways to do it. Let's do this one way first. If disable attachments, we want to hide the entire thing. Okay, so Ziad suggests that maybe the entry name could be is attachments enabled, and the modifier to use it is disable attachments. But oh yeah, so you want to make it easier for me to know what is the right thing. Yeah, that's a good suggestion, but I feel that would add an extra layer of having to translate between how it is on the inside and how it's on the outside. So I think it should be both the same on the inside and the outside. Yeah. Personally, I think it might be better to name it enable attachments, and now it would be clearer. But it's okay. Let's do it this way. Okay, so if disable attachments, so this is one way to do it, and let's see how this looks like. And I'm going to restart my canvas here, and then we're going to go in. Oh, it is already disabled there. Okay, so did I implement it the wrong way? So disable attachments. If disable see? If not disable attachments, we need to show the menu. There you go. So if not disable attachments, show the menu. Now we see the button. Let me make this larger for you. Here we go. And now let's go into our preview, and then here's our message composer. And now let's do disable attachments. Okay, so this is another thing that we probably want to work on. So disable attachments is true. Now it's gone. I can say false, and it's there. But I also want to be able to not provide the parameter at all. So and this is why I'll say, if I call this, true is the default. And now I should be able to just call it this way. Boom. Nice. So with that, we can go back into our content view here, and then we can uncomment this, and we should see that now our attachment button is hidden. Good. Now, in reality, you'd probably want to be able to provide your own actions, right? Because what we have at the moment, if we go back into our preview here, let's go to this one. So we've got the button, and we've got camera and photos. So let's take a quick look at how this is in real life in the Messages app. And let me bring up a view of my phone. So this is my test phone. We are in the Messages app, and this is what I showed you last time. So don't, if you can read German, don't worry, this is not, this sentence here is just me basically like typing random. Oh my God, this is like a little bit rude. Me just typing around here. Okay. Anyways, so if you tap this button, we can see that they have a bunch of things here, and they also have this really beautiful UI where they have colorful icons, and they've got loads of things here. They've got the camera, they've got photos, stickers, audio, and this might be different from app to app. For some apps, you might want to allow users to take a picture from using the camera, or you might want to allow them to pick a photo. And I'm quite, for example here, it doesn't seem to be possible to attach any files, right? Which is something that you can do in WhatsApp or and other chat apps, for example. And that might be useful for some applications. So in the context of our recipe planning app, it might be useful to be able to attach a file, right? Because you might have a file of a recipe sitting somewhere in your drive. So you want to do that, but it doesn't make sense to send a location, for example. This is something that you can do here. So I can go and send a location. That makes sense in the context of the Messages app, because I want to share a location with a friend, but it doesn't make sense in a recipe app. Well, maybe you could say, well, I'm at the, you could share your location, which says you're at the farmer's market, and then the recipe planner could say, well, since you are at the farmer's market, you might want to look for this and that produce. But, I think you get the idea. It doesn't make sense. So what we actually want to do is not just be able to disable or enable attachments, but we want to be able to provide a custom set of actions here. And we want to be able to provide actions with custom icons. So one way to do that might be to say, well, we only want to be able, or, we want to make sure that people can only register certain types of things, and then we would come up with our own kind of data structure for doing that. But why do that if we already have Swift UI that does all the heavy lifting for us? So what I want to try now is make it possible to provide exactly this part here, and then the user of this Conversation Kit UI can provide exactly the buttons that they want to use in their application. So, and we already did some of that before, not in the message composer view, but in the conversation view. And if you watched last time, you saw how I implemented custom bubbles, custom chat bubbles. So the built-in bubbles look a little bit like what we see on screen here. So you can either have just text, or you can have text and image. And I think there should also be an example of just text, just image. This one probably, which failed to load. Okay, and then last time we implemented custom chat bubbles, and you can see that this looks different. And if we look at how this is implemented, we can see that now for this preview here, so custom chat bubbles, we have a VStack, and that VStack first has the image, if there is an image, and then it has, where's the message? It has the message as a markdown element. And the way how we implemented that, oh, and also, if you want to use the default message bubble, you don't have to do anything, right? So you can see that up here, which is this implementation here, we don't have this closure. So the closure where we build our custom chat bubble, right? So this thing here, everything that is inside of this closure here. So the way how we implemented that was to provide this view builder thing here, and we register this, and it's being stored here, and we say, well, content is a message view in the case of the default implementation. And in case it is not a message view, it is some other view, right? So content is a view. For our custom menu implementation, we can do the same. So let's see how we need to do that. So first of all, we somehow need to have like this, the same kind of view builder structure that we have for a menu. So we can go and see how they did it. So here we can see, okay, it is a view builder. We have the content, and we have another view builder for the label. So let's implement this as well. So let's take this, go back here, and then so now we need to decide, are we going to implement this on the message composer view or on the conversation view? And I think, yeah, so it should be on the message composer view. Yeah, because, and you know, this is yet another of the amazing things about Swift UI, because all those view modifiers work with the environment. You register, or you register it in the environment, and then at the call side, the user can apply it to any container, to any parent container of the view that you're actually gonna use it in. So in our case, we want to use it inside the message composer view, but the user will be dealing with a conversation view, right? So for example, if we are in this view here, we want to be able to say something like attachment actions, and then put them here. And because this will write into the environment, we'll be able to access this here, but this is not where we need it. But we will also be able to access this here in our message composer view. This is where we need it. Okay, so, and while we're here, I'm going to copy these and I'm going to put them here. Okay, so, and now I need your input yet again. What do you think would be a good name for registering those actions, those attachment actions? Should it be called .attachment actions or something else? Please type it in, and then I will either use my name if you don't come up with a name, or I will use your name if you have a really good one. So for now, I'm going to use this, but if you come up with a better one, I'm going to use yours. So for the time being, let's comment this, because it will break the compiler. Good. So let's go back here, and now we will need another entry. At entry var attachment actions, and now let's go back into see, that's the thing. I'm also a very forgetful person. So let's go here. So they have a view builder. Okay. It's missing a default value, and then we'll just say it needs to be a blank action. Oh yeah, yep. Okay. Okay, so, let's work this a different way. So public func okay, so public func attachment actions, and what we're passing in is yeah, that's what we're doing, right? So we're passing in actions and they return some view. Is that what we do? Oh well, wait. No, this is, so our attachment actions function needs to return some view because it's a view modifier, right? So because we want to chain other view modifiers on top of that, right? Okay. Okay, so add environment, and then add entry or attachment actions. Interesting. Cannot convert entry type to closure result type of some view. Wait. No. So, okay, so this is, okay. Okay. Nope. Right, and because it's a closure, it needs to be marked as at escaping because it might escape. Okay. So let's see if this compiles. Okay, so this compiles. So this is not correct yet, but let's take a look at the call site and see if we can at least do this. Okay, so we can do this. And now let's see if doing this also works. It does? That is quite interesting. This shouldn't. Maybe it should. Let's see. Let's see what the compiler has to say. Okay, so these are still the ones that we registered. Okay, let's go here. And then let's go back into Swift UI, and I think dot toolbar is similar. Okay, here we go. So we can say dot toolbar, and you can see that the way how we use the toolbar or this toolbar view modifier to set this up is very similar to what we want to achieve. Right, so here they pass in a toolbar item group. Let's see. Oh, look at that. This is exactly what we want. But this is a different example. Toolbar item, toolbar role. Let's filter here, toolbar. Toolbar label style, toolbar, label, toolbar, item group content. Toolbar. Okay. Toolbar. I think this one is the one that we're looking for. Okay. It's as good as it gets. So toolbar, content, view builder content, where content equals a view. Okay. And this is an extension on view. And because all our generics are on the function itself, this should also work in our contexts. Okay. Okay, so let's say we want to have content, and then public fun toolbar. And we need to pass in a view builder that, okay, so this should be basically this one here, right? So now this is no longer compatible. Okay, so we can't do this. All right, let's ask for a fix. Okay, maybe use a view modifier instead of an environment variable since it gives us access to a view builder. Yeah, that might be it. Let's see what else, which other suggestions we have. Oops, oh well, so, no, I don't want to use any of you. I mean, let's try it. Okay, so this succeeded. I am I'm not convinced that I want to do this. Okay, so what it suggests is to convert the environment value to any view so that it can hold any view, and the default value will be an empty view. So that might work. Let's see if it does. Okay, so here, oh yeah, okay. Let's go back to our preview, where this is disabled, and then we'll just quickly turn this back on, and here you go. So we've got our two custom actions here, and let's also implement something here. Print you tap the custom action 1, and here print you tap the custom action 2. Let's show our console here, show the canvas, and now when I tap on the actions, we will see that they register. Nice. So, well, so it works. Let's see if it works well enough. So let's assume that when we tap the button, we want to somehow, I don't know, change what's on the label, use a different system image, right? So to somehow toggle the action. To do that, I'm going to add another previewable state, add preview ball at can't type anymore, var foo equals false, and then what we'll do is foo.toggle, and then down here foo star or star.slash. Nice. Okay, let's refresh. The preview crashed. Why is that? Is there a compile error? No, this works fine. Let's just be nice and try to convince it again. Okay, so we can so it does react to me changing the state. Okay, so fair enough. Also, welcome to the stream, Matthias. Glad to have you. So what we did so far is we implemented a view modifier that allows us to turn on and off the button for the attachments. And we also, and we implemented a menu for the attachments in the first place. And then we also registered another closure called attachment actions, a view modifier that allows us to use a closure to register our actions. So instead of implementing them here manually, we are reading them from the environment. From here. Okay. So let's do a little bit of cleanup here. So we can remove that. Okay. And because we want to open source this in the long run, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and then we're going to commit this into our repository. So we've got our disable attachments, attachment actions, they're all registered. We've got our menu. We added padding and sample. Okay, so and what we want to commit is this and this. Also, we want to add our sample here, and we don't want to check in the Google Service info.plist. So we're going to ignore this. We need the PBX project. This is okay. We want to have the main app, this, the icons, assets, content view, and this as well. And now sample app. This shows how to use Apple's foundation model framework as well as Firebase AI logic. Bam. Okay, so that's that. So now, Sia had suggested to use a view modifier instead of an environment variable since it gives us access to a view builder. So let's see. modifier. Here we go. Okay. I need to recall how to implement view modifiers because I typically do it this way. It needs to be, I think it needs to be public, right? Public, and then it's attachment actions view modifier is a view modifier. It is a view modifier. Come on. Oh, interesting. Oh, look at that. Okay, so attachments, actions, view modifier is a view modifier. It has a body that has the content. What we want to do is, oh yeah, so we want to we probably need an initializer to register our actions, right? Let's try that. Okay. And then it should work like this. And then we should be able to put our buttons there. Minus this. And this is also okay. Where content is a view can only be applied to a non-generic top-level declaration. So why? Oh, okay. So content already is the So we are returning a button, and it says you can't return a button that is type to text to return type attachment actions view modifier content, which is an attachment actions view modifier. Well, wait, somehow Okay, so maybe we need to be more specific and say that these are actions, and then where action is a view, and that doesn't work. And now maybe we can do that. Okay, and now it needs to be actions. Action. Okay, it compiles. But I actually want to have multiple actions. All right, and then self.actions is actions. So that means our actions. Yep, so we can't do that here, but we can do it here. Okay, good. So with that, we can now create this view modifier. We hold on to our actions, and now we somehow need to use them. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is use the view modifier. This one. And then pass them in here. This needs to be escaping. Good. So yes, so the action generic type should conform to view as well. Okay, so let's find it. Probably like this, right? So padding and background is not what we want. And then we don't want this, but we want a message composer view. Okay, so now we have our view here, and tapping on the button doesn't do anything because we are not finished yet. So we've got our actions here, we've got the content, and the content in this case is a message composer view. So let's try doing something. Yep, okay. At least we know it works. Good. So next thing, is so we're reading those attachment actions from the environment, and that doesn't really work, or we want to do this in a different way. So it feels a little bit like in order to make this view modifier work, we need to move a lot of the code that we have inside this view modifier, right? Yes, everybody uses the red border. It's it's the printf debugging, isn't it? Okay, so the good thing is everything is in version control, and I can just, mess around, right? So, okay, so what I think we need to be doing is we need to destructure the message composer view and move stuff into the view modifier. That doesn't feel great, to be honest. Hmm. Oh, hey, well, let's try something. I know it might be stupid, but let's try it. So I'm gonna take this whole thing here and put it here. Oh, wait. Okay, so hstack. How about this? Cannot find attachment actions. Nope, but we have our actions. Close it. Okay, yes, we need to do that as well. This is only possible if we are on iOS 26 or later. Wait. Okay, let's, okay. So, okay. I think we're getting somewhere. All right, so how about applying the modifier directly inside the message composer view and placing the menu inside the view modifier instead? Yeah, I think we probably, so we, it's not a bad thing that we're doing it this way. The code will look pretty differently at the end, but let's try to do this. So basically, what we need to do is, and let me show this by doing this. So what we want to do is green. We want the input field and this button to be the only things that are in the red thing and that in the red box, and that's going to be our message composer view. And then if we apply the attachment actions view modifier, that will give us this additional thing here. So and that also needs to work no matter if you are on iOS 26 or earlier. Okay, so first of all, we're going to copy this entire thing. Like this. And then we'll also have to refactor disable attachments. So at the moment, disable attachments is only available on the message composer view, but thanks to how SwiftUI works, we can get hold of this here. Nice. So, and I'm going to rename this like this. And this should be private as well. And then it needs to be like this. Okay, so, and I think this entire part here, that is going to be the only thing that remains inside of the message composer view. So that is going to be content. Remove this. Okay, there's more compile errors. Okay. Now how's that? Okay, so it's starting to look good. Starting to look good. So, and if we are not on iOS 26 or higher, we are here. Let me see. So basically, just the same without the class effect container, right? Like this, no class effect, no control size large, no button border shape dot circle. Okay, so now we can go back into our no, that's going to be interesting. So, because we get this via, and also let me bring back our borders. So, dot border dot red dot border dot green. Why can't border be applied on a type of view? I'm pretty sure I can. Oh, that's the, okay. In which case, okay, so we've got this, we've got that. Now we can go in and remove the button from our red box. So that's this part here. And here we go. So we can remove one of the haystacks. And then I'm going to remove this. So they sit in different containers, I think. Right, so we've got this haystack sitting in a glass container. We've got the content thing. The content thing also sits in the glass container. And it sits, well, this needs to be in the haystack, that's correct. Okay, so okay, better. Okay. Okay. Okay, now let's see if we can make them meet. Okay, so they now overlap. But they don't really melt. That's a problem. Okay, so, okay. I think we could also remove the environment variable related to the attachment and pass it as a parameter to the view modifier instead. Yeah, I think that is definitely something that we don't need anymore. So doing that should still work. And that should also still work. Let me remove the borders. Maybe they have an impact on whether or not they can melt. And then let's increase this. No, they don't. Oh, it's only really visible from here. So this doesn't melt. Do we do, let's see, but we have this glass effect. And we have this in a container. So they do sit in a container. They sit in the same container. Maybe we can just remove this container altogether, right? So let me do that. Oh, yes. Look at that. Do you see it melt? Sweet. Oh, wow, look at that. It looks so good. Nice. Okay. Wow. I need to tap on the party popper emoji. Sorry. I'm always so happy when stuff works. You know, that is our life as developers, right? So 90% of the time you're frustrated because it doesn't work. Why does it not work? And then it works, and you know, we're not celebrating this often enough. You know, a good friend of mine, a colleague that I work together with at Lufthansa, he had this habit of when stuff worked after he went through a very tough debugging session, he would, you know, jump up and down and, you know, do this kind of like celebration slide that footballers do on the grass, but in the office. I think it really hurt. So I'm not going to do that because I'm much older than I used to be when we shared the office. Okay, nice. So Ziad, thanks for pushing me. Thanks for pushing me to implement it this way. And now we can do some cleanup. So we don't need to have this glass container here because we only use the glass container when we need it. And we only needed the glass container to make sure that the button and the input field melt. Right? So let's go back to regular size. So you can see that we've still got this shine effect here. And then when I zoom in really much, we can see that I've got this melting effect here. All right. Also, I'm just noticing that my stream necks here are turning on and off all of the time. That is usually an indicator of, you know, something's going on with the network, but I can see my stream still going, so we should be good. Nice. So also everything seems to be aligned really nicely, and we're going to verify this by adding a nice red thingy to our nice red border. There you go. This looks great. we should also probably try to see how this looks like on iOS 18 and below. Simulators. So this one here, 18.5. Let's see if we can use that one. Ooh, we can't. Is it because we said that this... Oh yeah, so this sample application requires iOS 26. Okay, so in that case, we'll have to verify this with a different application, and I probably shouldn't have renamed the simulator. Anyways, let's go back and clean up all the other stuff so we don't need those debugging things here anymore. We've got our attachment actions view modifier. We don't need these anymore. We don't need this anymore. And now we also should be able to use this, right? So this is in the short message preview. So let's take a look at that. So we've got our custom actions and they are not aligned. What is going on here? So message composer view works fine. Short message view does not work fine. Why? Also, this doesn't seem to work anymore. Oh, interesting. Long message doesn't have any. Yeah. Okay, that is because we don't register any. So let's register the attachment actions in this one. Yeah, we don't have foo. Okay, this is melting. This one, not so much. Okay. I think we have more work to do still. Okay, so that is really interesting. Okay, let's try something else. With convenience modifier dot attachment actions. Okay, this works. Let's see if we can also register more than just one? Yes, we can. Okay, it does work generally. It is just that this doesn't work. Oh, I know. I think this might be it. Of course. So okay, nice. And now let's take a look at our conversation view previews. Here are our built-in chat bubbles with enabled attachment actions. And we also need to update this here. Yep. Oh, this is rebuilding. Hello? Okay. Yep. Good. Well, as usual, the keyboard doesn't really work well in the simulator or in the preview, but not to worry. Let's run this on the real simulator. Okay, and we can see that we've still got more work to do because didn't we do this here? We did do it, but then we removed it. So padding. Oh, yeah. Okay. So we need to somehow figure out what to do with the padding, right? Because we want to one, I want to add padding. Well, we can do it the easy way. We can go here, and then we can say, okay, so well, we can't, because the view modifier is out of our control. Okay, let's try something. Dot padding dot horizontal, comma 16. Why not? And that means we have the padding on the horizontal edges of the input field. So first of all, that is too much. 10 might be better. Looking good. Let's see if 8 is even better. 8 might be enough. But it's also on the left side, and we can see that by adding a border. It's hard to see, but it is there. It's this tiny little padding. If I turn this off, yeah, you can see that it goes away. So we only want this on the trailing end, right? To avoid that we're bumping into the device frame, because if we remove that, yeah, I can see that it's bumping into the device frame. And now it should no longer, well, 8 is not good enough, it needs to be 10. Oh, 10 isn't good enough either? Wow, really? What? Okay, let's do something really exaggerated. That is interesting. Okay, 8 might be good after all. Let's add a frame. Oh no, a border, sorry. Okay. Now I'm really confused. Who is this? Okay, so let me zoom in so you can also see it. See the clipping? See, it's clipping. But it seems like that is the frame itself. Anyways, let's just keep it this way for a moment. Okay. Now let me see if the problem even exists on the real app. Yes, it does. It does. It does. Okay, so we have too much padding. Not enough padding here. I know, but I don't want to make this even more complicated than it already is. I feel like it is okay, so we do need to add padding around the entire thing. So this is just the right part. That. So if we, I think I might have an idea. I mean, it is, no. That's really interesting. Oh, wait, no. No. Oh God, no. Do you see that? Okay, so because of the way how we're using the attachment actions thing, we're wrapping the entire view that this is attached on. And that results in this problem here, right? So it moves the entire thing to the right. The entire view. And to fix that, we would probably, so one option might be to iterate all the children of the view that we have at hand and then find the message composer view. And then only modify that message composer view. Or find some other solution. But I'm not sure if I'm still fresh enough to find the solution for that now. I still feel like putting it into the environment probably was, wasn't that bad of an approach after all, right? Because we didn't want to modify the conversation view itself. We wanted to put something into the environment so that the input view could pick it out of the environment and then do something with it. I mean, let's look at the documentation. So a different version of the original value. So their example is, directly modifying or adding a border, for example. So let's see if we can find some examples where okay, so this is very similar to what we have. So let's see. Why not applying the attachment modifier just to the bar instead? Okay, let's go in and see. So you mean not doing this, but instead apply it to the message composer view, right? So let's take it. Go back, go here, go here. How about now? Yes, better. Okay. Thanks for letting me know, Adnan. So, what I did is take this and then instead of applying it to the conversation view, apply it to the message composer view. like this. So I think that was Ziad's suggestion. And I think it might work. Yeah, so we have those two actions here, and we can see that they are inside the green border. But what we wanted to do was to register those attachment actions on the outside, right? So let's go into our example here. I wanted to be able to say, well, you know, we are in this chat application that allows me to register actions that I can then use to give them my personal attachments. And that would require us to do this in the client code. So where I call the conversation view, because what's inside here, you know, everything that is within Conversation Kit, that is basically a black box. That is something that I don't want to expose to the users, right? That is a black box, ideally. So now, obviously, you could say, well, you know, couldn't you just go and, you know, expose the message composer view itself? But then again, you know, building the entire chat view is up to the user, and that doesn't feel right to me. So, so I guess what I'm going to do is we're going to save this, and then I'm going to think of a way to do this in a better way. So first of all, oh, sorry. This can't change. So we want to have this back. Oh yeah, and I want to be able to see that this is a problem. Okay, so coming back to this, let's create a branch of this, experiments, view modifier, and then we're gonna put all of this here. Experiment, perform experiments, nice. Experimenting with a view modifier. The idea was to avoid using any view by using a view modifier that can take a generic argument. Okay, bam, like this. And then we will go back here. And we have our previous code back using the AnyView, which is not ideal, but okay, let's see if we can get a suggestion here. Instead of using any view, I'd rather like to not use any views here. Is there a different way how we can do that? Okay, let's see. Okay. Type any view does not conform to view. Yeah, so that doesn't work either. So let's see what the AI has to say about this. Okay, so we're back to any view. Yep. Okay. I mean, it works. Let's call it a day and see if we. So we're basically back. Yeah, it's what we had before. Okay, but on the bright side, I think we achieved a bit. So let's run this once more and then see if how it looks like. Okay, so we probably need more padding here. We didn't register any actions over there, so let's quickly. And we probably don't need disable attachments anymore. So let's go here and pick our sample actions and then use them here. Yep, so this works. And we also get the melting effect of the liquid glass. So I think we've achieved most of what we wanted. Maybe it's not the perfect solution, but let's see if we can, fix that in the next one. And with that, I think I'll call it a day. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody who's watching this after the stream took place. I realize this is a really long one. It says 2 hours and 30 here now, which is a lot longer than we usually go. But it was, fun for most of the time, I think, and some of the time it was challenging, but we achieved, a good end result. And next time we'll maybe work on improving this. And entities and actions. I might find time to open source this. And then, Ziad, you can send a pull request to outline what you had in mind. And with that, let me try one more thing. So I'll press a button and then I'll disappear and then I'll be quiet. And then we'll use this screen that I'm on as the end card. And then everybody who's watching this after the stream will see videos that they can watch here and there. All right, let's try this out. Thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in and spending time with me. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.